Hello there, dear friends, and welcome once again to the Relaxed Fantasy Review. Today, we're continuing our series on the changes from 2014 to 2024 5th edition D&D. And we're talking about the Cleric today. The Cleric has always been a powerful class. They've always been almost as much of a jack of all trades as bards. They've got good armor. They can have good weapons if you pick correctly. They've got full spell casting. They've got a D8 hit die. They've got their wisdom based, which is pretty good for skill based characters. They kind of do it all. But from 2014 to 2024, we have seen pretty significant changes. There's a lot of stuff that the cleric class gets now that used to be tied to their subclasses specifically. And some of your changes and some of your options have been given like more agency to the player instead of to the DM. And honestly, I think that's healthy for the game. But how have these changes manifested in the brand new book? We'll get into those details here in just a moment. Before we do, though, I'd like to let you know, Relaxed Fantasy Review has memberships. For just $1 a month, you can support me here on YouTube and get a couple benefits. First, you get a little badge next to your name in the comments, letting folks know you're a supporter. Also, you get early access to my videos. I upload videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I upload them a day early for members only. And finally, you get VIP access in my community Discord. Anyone can join my Discord. It's free for everyone. But if you're a member of the channel, then you get VIP access. You get to go straight in the VIP room and talk directly to me. You talk about D&D, your character, your campaign ideas, the YouTube channel, whatever you like. If any of that sounds interesting to you, you can click the join button. It's just down there next to the subscribe button. And if it doesn't interest you, that's fine too. Just being here at all, watching the video, liking and subscribing to the channel, these are all wonderful ways to support me. So thank you for watching my content here on YouTube. So one of the biggest changes as far as clerics go is their spell casting. See, clerics, as full casters, have basically, they in the old days, they used to be a prepared spellcaster where they could, every time they long rest, they could change out their spells. And that is still the case. The difference is now the number of spells they can prepare has changed. It used to be your cleric level plus your wisdom modifier, that was your spells. For people that didn't want to change out their spells every time they long rested, what it basically meant is whenever you either bumped your wisdom or gained a level, you got a new spell. And that's kind of how that worked. But now it has been fixed. There's a table in the player's handbook under cleric, and at every level it says, this is how many spells you have prepared. You can still change them when you long rest, no problem, but your level and your wisdom modifier have nothing to do with it. Like, it's just a fixed number based on what level you're at in the table. This is actually handy for characters that are low wisdom clerics, ones who, don't necessarily care about their spellcasting modifier or their DC. They're more focused on other things. Spells that don't care about what your stats are. Weapon attacks, armor, fighting in melee, that sort of thing. You'll get the same number of spells known, same number of spells prepared as the clerics that have maxed out their wisdom. So I guess it's good for those kind of players, but I don't know very many clerics that don't want to max out their wisdom. So it's nice for housekeeping. You don't have to constantly count how many you know. It's just there written for you. So it's handy, and in the end, it's not going to give you more or less than you would have had by much. It's going to be roughly the same anyway. At level 1, there is also the Divine Order feature, and this is something that, honestly, it's brand new, kind of, in the sense that clerics naturally start the game with simple weapons and medium and light armor and shields. But with the Divine Order feature, you can choose to either give yourself heavy armor martial weapons, or you can choose to get an extra cleric cantrip and some buffs to your arcana and religion skill checks, basically adding your wisdom modifier to them. This is cool because in the old days, it used to be based on your subclass. If you chose the trickery domain, you were stuck with the armor and weapons you started with. If you chose life domain, you got heavy armor, but not martial weapons. If you chose the twilight domain, then you got martial weapons and heavy armor. But it was all tied to the subclass choice. Now it's not. It is in the class. And if you don't choose to take the armor and weapons, you get a cantrip and some extra skill buffs. So, you know, I'm going to be taking the heavy armor most of the time myself, but that's just me. How you want to play your cleric is not wrong. And the fact that this is a brand new feature that's been taken out of the subclasses and given to the cleric as their decision, that's actually really good game design. The other thing you get is your channel divinity, and this is different, sort of. Turn undead has been changed slightly. Instead of forcing the enemies that you turn to use their action to dash or dodge to run away from you, instead they still move away from you, but they are considered incapacitated. So they can't take actions. They can't dash or dodge. They just move away. Functionally, that's not that different. Like, they're going to move less fast. So if you're trying to chase them... Excuse me. If you're trying to chase them after you've turned them, it'll be easier now than it used to be. But, yeah, whatever. The other thing is that Channel Divinity still has the same number of uses. You start with 2, then you get 3 and 4 later on. Or rather, you start with 1 and you get 2 and 3 later on. But instead, you don't get them all back on a short rest. You get them all back on a long rest, and you get 1 back on a short rest. So that is a difference. You get slightly less uses of it per day if you get short rests throughout the day. And then finally, you get the Divine Spark use of it, because your subclass is going to give you a use for Channel Divinity. They all do. And you always have Turn Undead. Now you also have Divine Spark. It just lets you do some damage or do some healing with your Channel Divinity. If your subclass feature isn't really useful to you and there's no undead to turn, then you still got a use for it. So that's nice. Now, one of the biggest changes was that the subclasses aren't at level 1 anymore. You don't choose your domain at level 1. You choose it at level 3, like everyone else does. A big change, and it takes away the potency of the Cleric Dip. Don't get me wrong, Cleric Dip is still great. That Divine Order feature and the, first level spells are fantastic, but you don't get the subclass till level 3. You still get the same ability score increases, the same levels as before. And now you get Seer Undead. Seer Undead replaces Destroy Undead. So Destroy Undead's not a thing anymore. There's no more instant death when you use Turn Undead on really weak undead. Instead, when you turn undead, if creatures fail their save, they take damage. It doesn't matter what their CR is. It doesn't matter what their level is. They're just going to take damage. And it's enough damage that weaker undead will probably be evaporated anyway. But it means that, that 5th level feature isn't useless against powerful undead. It still will do some damage to them. So that's important. Okay, Blessed Strikes. This is something we gotta talk about. In the old version, cleric subclasses at level 8 got one of 2 things. They either got Divine Strikes, which gave them extra damage on their weapon attacks, or they got Potent Spellcasting, which added their Wisdom modifier to the damage of their cantrips. That's fine. Both of those are good. The trick is that now Blessed Strikes gives you the choice. You no longer, once again, it's not locked based on which subclass you took. You're not doing extra damage with weapons because you're life domain. If you're life domain, you pick which one is better for you, as which kind of cleric are you trying to play. It also got moved to level 7 instead of level 8, so that's nice. I just like the fact that you've got agency. It's not based on your subclass. You choose, and that's really nice. Now, Divine Intervention. This one is one of the biggest changes overall with the cleric. It used to be that you would pray for help from the gods, and you roll a percentile die, and if you rolled lower than your level, so you'd have like a 10% chance of pulling this off at lower levels, then the gods would intervene, and it was up to the DM how. This basically removed all player agency, and very rarely did I ever see this working. Now it doesn't work like that at all. It's completely revamped. Now, once you're level 10, you can, once per day, just call upon the gods, and they will cast a spell of 5th level or lower for you. It takes an action, and it just works. There is no DM decision here. The DM can't, like, shut this down by saying that the gods do something unhelpful for you. Nope. You get to pick a spell, and the gods cast it. One of the classic ones, and this one kind of made the internet go nuts when this first came out, is casting the spell Hallow. Creates an area, creates a space where certain enemies become, like, super debuffed. Like, there's all sorts of effects you can do to them. The most painful one is you can make them vulnerable to specific types of damage. Usually it takes 24 hours to cast. Now it takes an action with Divine Intervention. Not to mention you've got your free, Revivify or Raise Dead or whatever. And this is just there. It's a free casting of a 5th level spell or lower, and I really like it. At level 14, Blessed Strikes gets the increase. Again, this is the same with the weapon strikes, as in, it used to be a D8 that's added, now it's 2D8, that's fine. But they actually added something for the cantrip casters. Instead of just adding your wisdom modifier to the damage, now you actually get another buff. When you use one of your cantrips to deal damage, you can choose yourself or an ally nearby and give them temporary hit points. Twice your cleric level, in fact. Or no, sorry, twice your wisdom modifier, which by this point is probably 5. So, yeah, every time you use a cantrip, you give someone like 10 temporary hit points, which is cool, because if you're a potent caster, you're probably using your cantrips as your main attack anyway, so you're just handing out temp HP all the time. That's really good. It honestly would make me consider taking it instead of the weapon version, if I wasn't, focused on weapons. So it really feels good to use. Your Epic Boon, that's a brand new feature. Everyone gets that. And then finally at level 20, the Greater Divine Intervention. In the old days, it just meant that the gods would answer your plea every time you did it, once every 7 days. There was no roll, there was no percentile roll. But now, it just says that when you use Divine Intervention, you can cast Wish, which is awesome. I think that a lot of DMs kind of ran Divine Intervention as a pseudo wish anyway. You prayed and you got kind of what you asked for. Now it's officially Wish. It is the Wish spell. The gods cast it for you. When you use Divine Intervention in this way, you can't for 2d4 more days, so roughly 5 more days. Which is fine. It's the Wish spell. Usually it's a game warper anyway, so the fact that it's officially here and DMs don't have to, make that decision, it's just the player's choice. The player gets to use it, and that's awesome. Overall, the Cleric has got some pretty good changes under their belts. Their Channel Divinity has had some tweaks. They've got Seer Undead instead of, Destroy Undead. They get choices with their armor or their spellcasting, their Blessed Strikes, and their Divine Intervention works way more seamless. It doesn't require DM interpretation. It is in the book how it works. I suppose if you're a DM who liked the fact that you control Divine Intervention, then you're not going to like this change. But if you're a cleric, if you're a player who plays a cleric, and you're used to Divine Intervention being a mostly worthless feature, it's not anymore. It's great. So it gives you a good reason to stick with Cleric. I think these changes are solid for the game's balance. It means players just get way more agency in how their cleric works, and I think that that's really good. So if you've played clerics in the past and you've thought that they needed more choices or more decision-making power in their growth, you will be happy with these changes. This has been the Relaxed Fantasy Review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe down below. Have a look for the join button down there, and keep your eyes peeled for more class change reviews coming down the line soon. Have a good one, my friends.